I got enraged that this was happening here. I'm a mother of 4.
Yeah.
I was enraged, and so I'm going to become engaged and try to be part of the solution.
Welcome to The Movement, a podcast about resourcing, empowering, and developing leaders in the fight against human trafficking. I have 2 special guests this morning, Jennifer Hohman.
Hello.
And Amy Pierce.
Good morning and afternoon.
A few things we do in the podcast, but first we start with your elevator pitch.
I'll let Amy go first.
I'm actually the chairman of the board here for UNICEF Southwest. But in that involvement with trafficking, you learn about child protective issues. But of course, it's India, it's Thailand, it's Africa. It's not here within our neighborhoods and our state.
So there's no trafficking here.
Yeah, no. Right. So with my UNICEF involvement, Jennifer kind of brought the trafficking issue to my attention, and that it's happening here in our own backyard.
Wow.
And it really opened my eyes. I went on a tour with Elijah Rising, one of the leading nonprofits and who's serving survivors and overcomers. And that's when we were on the van tour, went to see some of the modern day brothels that you realized. And all of a sudden we stopped and we were at Westheimer and Hillcroft. Less than a mile from Memorial High School, where my son was going to high school. And I'm thinking, he's walking home from football every evening by himself in the dark. But it really woke me up and made me realize, okay, now that I know this, what am I going to do with it? Am I just going to kind of tuck it away or start learning how to talk about it? But if you're ever Jennifer's friend, she brings things to your attention. And what I say is, I got enraged that this was happening here. I'm a mother of 4.
Yeah.
I was enraged, and so I'm going to become engaged and try to be part of the solution. And
is that the name of your new book, Enraged?
It should be. Gosh, that's a great idea.
Enraged and engaged about a lot of things.
I have a lot of passions.
Enraged to engaged.
Well, most of my issues are education, the arts also, but it's really in ensuring that we're finding the right next generation, the leaders, to take over when we're worn out, because we're already getting very worn out.
Right,
but with Jennifer, she and I started an organization called the Houston 20, and we really were striving to become almost mad, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. But of course, our issue,
I heard you wrong.
We were mad, but our issue was trafficking and just raising awareness, but also finding ways that people can actually do something about it instead of just learning about it, giving them the tools they need to take care of everybody under their roof, but also in the community, letting them know who's out there already assisting and helping. And we also went up to Austin and helped advocate for legislation protecting children, but helping victims and survivors.
Wow.
So we were in, Jennifer, wouldn't you say, like 4 different legislative sessions? Yeah. And I can tell you about this later, but we took 40 high school students up this January to advocate for legislation. And they have been so empowered just to having their voice heard. And we've learned legislators and staffers much prefer to talk to them than to us.
Right.
But
because they're going to be voters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's a grassroots organization, and so that's what we've been doing, or I've been doing, for about 8 years. Jennifer has done it. She's moved up to even higher levels as far as making impact. But I'm still staying in the grass. I'm in the grassroots, working with students and schools and parents, and we've got a lot of tools that we want to share to let parents know this is a dark and heavy issue, but there is so much hope at the end. There's survivors who are living independent lives, and you can be a part of that, but most importantly, you can be empowered to protect your home and your families.
I love it.
So in the beginning, I got involved in just, it came very apparent to my family that we knew a lot of people that their daughters had been trafficked for sex. And so at first I was like, okay, how do we get awareness? How do we create prevention through awareness and create millions of Amy's out there that get engaged and enraged about this? And we did, right? Then the next thing what we learned is like all the nonprofits weren't really collaborating together or working on the big issues and filling the gaps.
Yeah.
So then it was, my focus was around getting nonprofits together. Then after that, we learned, okay, now we need to raise money.
Right.
Because these nonprofits really suffer. They don't have a lot of funding.
Right.
A lot of in fact, this year, VOCA is really kind of drying up for some of them.
Wow.
And so then it was to raise money.
Hard subject to get money.
Hard subject to get money and get people to sustain their giving in that space.
Wow, yeah.
And so Amy and I had done fundraising before for our children's private schools. And so that's why we kind of joined forces in raising funds. And then with that, then learned there was a lot of legislation that was needed, both at the federal level because of online trafficking, and then at the state level. So then I was passionate about the legislation and still am.
Yeah.
And then now I've kind of moved into a different space. Amy's taking the Houston 20 and making sure we're growing up young leaders to follow in our footsteps.
Yeah.
So high school, college, boys and girls to get involved and get enraged and then get engaged. And I'm kind of focused a little bit different. All the, I don't want to say rescues, but the recoveries I've done, we're helping women and children get out of the life.
Yeah.
What I was seeing is the recidivism, them going back into it and having a lot more trauma. So now my husband and I are very focused on supporting those individuals and making sure they can go to college or have professional careers. And so I'm just really kind of focused on the individual. So I kind of have been through the gamut of the cycle of helping in multiple ways, but now God's kind of just got me in a place where I'm helping the individuals I've helped recover.
So you're more hands-on with individual lives? Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's it. So when they need me or they need to talk or they need funding for something or just a little support or college entry, GED programs. One, I'm able to talk about her. I call her Darlene, and she was the first autistic case I already ever had. And Darlene was holed up in a restaurant in a corner in the fetal position when I talked to her for over 5 hours to come out of the restaurant, let me get a team on site in San Antonio to get her to a hotel, and then literally walk her through all the way getting her to what people call a safe house or restorative care.
Yeah.
And so that was 48 hours of on the phone, like literally can't do anything else, and then kind of talking her off the ledge, right? Because there was so much. She'd been trafficked by the cartel, held for 2 years, and now she just finished her GED.
Yeah.
And going to college, and we're trying to raise funds to get her a car. Yeah. So that's the kind of individual focus I have now. Yeah.
Heavy stuff.
See, that's the hope part I was talking about.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I think engaging people is probably one of the challenges. What have you, on this journey as you've been doing this, how do you get people to care?
You know, I would say, well, and Jen has spoken to large groups.
Yeah.
Memorial High School, she was going to give a presentation, and you didn't know if 20 parents would show up. Over 600 parents showed up. Because I do think it is an issue that people just don't know a lot about. They might have seen a movie, but they really don't know. So there's some curiosity to it. But it really is interesting because I think it's a message you have to hear several times. Yeah. So you might hear it in the larger setting, like we were just saying at Memorial High School, being introduced as a parent. But then you might have, we've also done, Houston 20 has had several people host events in their home that you might have 20 people or just 8.
Yeah.
So so people feel comfortable asking questions, and they can learn depth as far as what are things I should be looking out for? What about my child? Yeah. What does, POS stand for on their phone? It stands for parent over shoulder. So I'm changing what I'm writing to you. So I think we can't stop no matter what. We have to keep talking about it.
Right.
We always say that trafficking is about 25 years behind domestic violence movement of just making people aware and what they can see and what they don't see. I've got these great tools that I take wherever I go for just parents to go ahead and read and start. You've got to realize your kids are on their phones. If their first phone is 9, that's when they're exposed. You type in one wrong word and things pop up and you're innocent and you just don't know, but it's hard to unsee it, right?
Right.
So this book is written by Rania Menkarios. She is the president and CEO of Crime Stoppers, and just an amazing, strong woman, such an articulate speaker. But most importantly, she's a mom with teenagers. So this is a book, The Online World, What You Think You Know and What You Don't. Wow. And it is an excellent guide for parents who just, again, we don't know what we don't know, but please take some time to study and figure it out so you can be helpful and be a part of the discussion so your kids will talk to you about it.
Yeah.
And this is another one called The Tech Trap, written by Deborah Berry, who realized her daughter was being groomed. And we can talk a little bit about that online. These phones are wonderful tools, and we have to have them. Your kids need them.
Yeah.
But gosh, unfortunately, people out there with evil intentions are using them for all the wrong reasons.
I don't think I've figured out how to keep. I think you've figured out how to keep people engaged. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm kind of learning to kind of stay in my lane, in this space. That, well, number one, listen to God and what God's telling me to do, but number two, stay in my lane.
Yeah.
I'm really good at survivor advocacy, not being a part of a nonprofit, but just an independent individual, third party that's not the nonprofit or the NGO they're going to a therapeutic care with or trauma care, and not being in the NGO that does the outreach. Like literally being agnostic and kind of their champion on the outside. That's my lane. I thought I would build a million Amy's, but she became passionate because of her own work.
You built Amy?
No, I
She's
thought
real,
I
right?
would build Amy.
It's
Amy
not
was Amy
This isn't a
already.
robot thing or...
No, here's the deal.
She taught me what I didn't know and scared me to
No.
death.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
the thing, and this is what about building leaders, right? Amy was a leader already in the community, which is
Right.
why I reached out to her help, and we
Natural
reached out to each
leader.
other. Natural leader, and then when she got enraged about this space, then she naturally, in her own engagement way, like became Amy, and I
Yeah.
thought, oh, we're gonna have lots of Amy's, and then I learned, I'm like, not everybody's an Amy.
Yeah. And I
You've
will
keyed
say,
in on looking at people's skills and the things that they're passionate about, not focusing on the total trauma part of everything, get them
Right.
down to the negative, but keeping them in their space that they feel comfortable in and leveraging those skills.
Right. And
I
if
couldn't do
if
that.
people need to go deep,
Yeah.
let them go deep. There's plenty of resources.
That's
you can
right.
go deep. The one thing that you just said, Amy, that really I've found to be true is you can talk to people about trafficking in general, world issue, another thing on your list that's not right in the world. But until you talk to people about their children, you're just in general charity conversation. And
Right.
am I feeling passionate about what you're saying? No, I think another country and this issue is my thing, you know. And so when you start saying, I had a CEO conversation about a very large corporation, and someone introduced me and said, "Hey, this is David. He does Red Am. This is what it is." And he goes, "Oh, that's really great." And everyone who's in a corporate role has a way of getting rid of people, and this way was, "Hey, we have a golf tournament, and you can get money from that." And I said, "Well, we already do, thank you, but that's not what I want." And he was really confused because everyone wants money. He said, "Well, what do you want?" And I said, "What I want is for your grandkids not to be trafficked." And he's like, "Well, I do too." I said, "Good, let's work on that. I also want your employees' kids not to be trafficked." And when we gather 30 employees, usually one person's kid is in the middle of being groomed.
Well,
100% of them.
30 people, and if they go talk to 10 people, I mean, that's
Exactly.
really the only way to spread the word.
And it's hard for me to do that and stay at that surface when I'm
You know
down
that-
here.
No, you feel it.
And I am feeling the secondary trauma of all these things these men, these traffickers have done to them.
Right.
And I want you to get enraged, and you don't get
Right.
enraged, and I'm like, okay, I can't.
I know it's but this is the beauty of, I'll call this an empower episode. It's the beauty of how to be empowered is whatever you are, you see other people and you go, "Oh, Jen Hohman, I want to be like that, but I can't." "Oh, David Reed, I'd like to be Amy Pierce, I'd like." It doesn't work like that. What happens is, who was I meant to be? And then whatever that is going to be effective. And it takes everyone for this to be a society movement as opposed to just Jen Homans and just people like Amy Pierce. And so we're not looking, didn't mean to say just like there was nothing to that.
No,
but
that's
I
a
mean
big
just
thing over there.
but I meant solely.
Yeah. But you know what? I like what we did, right? We started this kind of corporate thing in the beginning. Remember, we had OgTag, and Alex was involved. And then when we realized, okay, David's getting more traction, like David's expanding this professional world, corporate world thing. David, take OgTag.
Yeah.
The selflessness between all of us
Yes,
to be
well-
able to realize who does something better. That's what this space needs.
Well, it's not our day job, you know,
No.
and that's, I mean, one of the things inside of Red Am that we worked on was making it for professionals that they can get involved. And that means we have to have no people working for us. We can have no buildings because we can't need the money.
Right.
That's right.
And that's how I open all corporate conversations, is I don't need your money. And they just lean forward and go, what? No one's ever said that. And then when you tell them what I want is for your
Yeah,
kids
it's
not to
beautiful.
be trafficked, they're in.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to be in? They just didn't know they were at risk. And so I think that's a good basis of reach. And then it's, and I used to say, whatever you want to do. That doesn't work for people.
Well, I
Most
think that's
people
what's
need
happened
guidance.
with the Houston 20. Like, now we had all these adult women involved with the Houston 20. We were raising funds, and that just gets to a point where it just kind of get tired, right?
Yeah.
And so now Amy and them have shifted. Amy and Laura Davenport have shifted to, let's focus on the kids. Let's
Talk about empowering the next generation.
That's
and,
right.
And I will say, so we started Houston 20 in about really 2018 was our first 2018 was our first fundraiser, but we raised over $2 million in that time.
Yeah.
But the advantage of what you're talking about is we don't have staff. We don't have any expenses. So 100% of what we raised went right back into these nonprofits
Exactly.
who use every penny
Yeah.
so efficiently, effectively. You wish,
Yeah.
everybody was such great stewards of your funds. But we've realized we've got to, David, empower the next generation, which I talked about a second ago. And so we now have some Houston 20 junior boards in high schools.
Very cool.
And the beautiful thing about it is they can take this club and make it fit to their community, to their school, to what's allowed, of course, but also to what the students are able to own and to feel empowered by.
Right.
And so again, they are tasked with. We have several nonprofits leaders come and speak to them to learn about the issue.
Nice.
The 101 of trafficking.
Right.
We ask them to do an awareness project or a supply drive to benefit one of our specific nonprofit partners in the space. So they do that, which takes collaboration, community, them coming together and running something and actually planning for it. You can't do it the night before, which is good for high schoolers to realize. We took 40 of them up to Austin to advocate and meet with senators and legislators about a couple of key pieces of legislation that they understood, which took some time. We met with Children at Risk and with Crime Stoppers to make sure they felt confident to be able to speak to the issue. You should have seen these kids.
Oh, they're better at it than we are.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
But again, they owned it and they felt so empowered.
Yeah,
I thought it was so cute. On the way home, on the bus, we asked them to write handwritten thank you notes. And a lot of them, I don't do that. I don't know how to address an envelope.
Handwritten, what?
Because
Are you from the past?
so it was a true life
Can I
lesson
text
time.
them?
But we had several mothers come with us also, mothers of the students, and they...
And NGOs, did you take? You took nonprofits with you
NGOs and survivors. We had 11 survivors join us, and so they were part of all the meetings,
Excellent.
as well as part of we participated in the Children at Risk press conference, press rally.
Yeah.
So the kids made posters, and they were, right there standing behind the legislators and senators, which was just an amazing experience for them. And now they are going to help take some of the money that Houston 20 has raised. We have gone out to our nonprofits asking, what are your needs right now? So grant requests for programmatic funding, and the students are going to interview them, listen to presentations. They have a certain amount of money that we've allocated for them to distribute, and they, again, empowered, will figure out
Decide
who
who gets
wants
what.
how much. Yes, but the beautiful thing is I'm saying they're also learning philanthropy and the key role that it plays in our community, and especially in the nonprofit world. Yes, you've got foundations, you've got individuals, but this is what we need you to do and start doing as a young adult and participate. It's key for allowing a lot of these couldn't survive without it.
Right.
So-
I think the whole empowered message is everyone can do something. Everyone can get involved, and it doesn't make
Exactly.
it up, whatever it is.
It's all
and there's
needed.
and then everyone I have who's in our group leading, the next message I give them once they start, because they're all driven people. Second message is do less, and they're like, what?
Delegate.
Do less, and I'm like, just walk away from things. Stop doing that. What? Well, you're very driven, and when you drive and you do a lot, and when it comes near you to help, you're not going to let them help. But when you do less, there's opportunity for people. And maybe no one, because everyone's answer to that is, well, then nobody will do it. Maybe.
People step up. They
step up.
up my head. Yes. No, but they do. And it's beautiful because half the time they bring perspectives or ideas that I wish I could have thought of it, but you need it, and it makes it so much more robust for everybody.
It shocks people how much when you back off, and I found this with email years ago. I used to always be like, yes, I'll answer that every time I saw it. Then I started going, what if I didn't answer this second? Bing, someone else on the email answered. I'm like, and that's the answer. Why did I think
Yeah, sometimes
I had
I
to
wait.
do more?
Let me see if that one's going to answer.
Yeah. So I think that's a good part of feel empowered, get involved. Don't do it all yourself. Don't burn out is one of my number ones, because it's the reason people don't get involved in helping.
It's heavy.
It's heavy, and I think I'm never going to get out, because you feel like it's so strong and compelling of a purpose.
Well, and you think there's an end. You think you can abolish it completely now and end it now. And this is a long game. This is a marathon.
It's a marathon.
And we need everybody.
And we need everybody.
And so that's why the how much people need to be involved varies. And that's okay. But do be involved and do something. So yeah, I like that. Here's a question. Is there something that you would like to share with people that is a now thing you can get involved with?
Well, if I may, Houston 20 is honored to be a beneficiary with Red M for a fabulous event that's coming up called A Night to Remember.
Right.
It's going to be at the Hobby Center on May 7th.
Wow.
And the reason why it's being held at that time is that's during OTC, when we're going to have so many companies and corporations coming from all over the world here to Houston, and there will be fabulous entertainment, amazing food, wines, and auctions. So it's really a great time for networking. It's going to be so much fun. But the beautiful thing of it is the funds raised from the event itself will be going to 2 organizations who in turn can get it vetted to the right people to make the most of every single dollar. And hopefully everyone in the room will also be able to have a walkaway with a message of saying, I learned something, I'm going to take this home with me, and what can I do next?
Yeah.
So we're really hoping that it's a night of entertainment and fun. There will be levity, but it still has a strong message.
And this is the flamenco dancing event, because early on in corporate engagement, I had just asked crowds, what do you do? You know, anything you do, what's in your pockets is my theme. Everyone's got something in their pockets, be it relationships or money or just something they love to do. And this wonderful woman came up afterwards and said, well, I'm a flamenco dancer. And I said, as I do, am I being silly? Said, me too. And she looked at me like,
Really?
Because this is what happened in her head. I'm sure I'll check with her later. But she knows all the flamenco dancers. So she was
She's like, you're on the list.
I don't know you. You're not that good if you are.
Talk about someone who she's passion with a purpose.
Absolutely.
And Echo Orchestra is,
Right.
and so she, Mercy, has helped build just this group of people who are bringing their talent, what they can bring to the issue, and contributing in that special way, and then it's just being magnified.
And then
I've done this for several years too, right?
This is our 4th year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never been, and maybe I'll have to come this time.
You have to come.
Not maybe.
You're
Okay, I
going
have
to
to.
May 7th.
If you want to meet Jen
I kind of
Hohman-
went on strike for the
you need
going
to
out
come.
to events, but
this is
different.
Incredible.
Okay.
And
The
it's
food is
okay.
incredible.
Okay.
But she's added it was always a Spanish night for a long time. Now it's Spanish, Brazilian, and Indian.
Oh.
What a fun crowd. I think that cultural thing is really good, because now you're going to learn about a culture, but you're also you have it is a high end show. Like, it is incredible. Last year, I'm sure
But it's entertainment focused, right? It's not going to just
Absolutely.
focus on trafficking, because there is trafficking going on in all those countries. We know that.
That's right.
But it's focused on come have a good time.
It's come have a time and give back, and there will be some moments of learning in between sets. But generally, it is just a blast, and people love being there. And that's what we've learned is people want to come to entertaining things,
Right.
And they don't mind learning a bit about trafficking. If we did a just trafficking thing, people
heavy.
who are already involved come, and no one else comes to them.
Right.
We need new eyes and ears and hearts and souls to
Exactly.
come to this. So please buy your table, A Night to Remember.
How do they find it? We have johnredm.com. We have a link to there on our events page. So that's probably, there's an easy one.
Okay.
Because we couldn't remember. Yeah, so there you go, joinredm.com.
Cool.
And that is the end of the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.